They wanted you to crawl, didn't they? Down on your knees, face to the ground, begging for their scraps, their approval, their mercy. That's the game, my friend. That's how they keep you under their thumb. You ever wonder why? Why they crave the sight of you broken? It's because your strength, your potential, terrifies them. It reminds them of what they'll never have. Power, control, freedom. You see, they don't want to destroy you. They want to own you. They'll dress it up in lies, sweet little lies. We're just looking out for you. This is for your own good. We only want what's best. But underneath it all, it's fear. Fear of what you could become if you stopped playing their game. If you stopped apologizing for who you are. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a bird in a cage. Beautiful, isn't it? Wings clipped, unable to fly, chirping away for its captor's amusement. Now imagine that bird breaking free, soaring high, becoming untouchable. That's you. That's what you're meant to be. But they don't want that, do they? No, no, no. They'd rather see you caged, singing their tune, living on their terms. They wanted you to beg. They wanted you to kneel and whisper, please, give me another chance. But you didn't. You stood up, you looked them in the eye and said, no, not today, not ever. And that's power, that's strength. But strength, my dear, comes with a cost. You've felt it, haven't you? The loneliness, the whispers behind your back, the betrayals. Oh, the betrayals. They came like knives in the dark, didn't they? Friends, family, lovers, each one with a blade, ready to carve out a piece of you. And yet, here you are, breathing, standing, fighting. That's what they hate most, the fact that you're still here. They'll call you names, monster, outcast, failure. They'll try to make you believe it. But let me tell you a secret. Monsters don't beg. Monsters don't kneel. Monsters survive. And you, my friend, are the scariest kind of monster. Not because you hurt people. No, no, no. But because you refuse to let them hurt you. You see, life isn't about being liked. It's about being respected. And respect doesn't come cheap. It's earned in the fire, through blood and sweat and tears. It's earned by saying no when the world demands a yes. By standing tall when everything around you is designed to make you fall. You want an example? Let's talk about them. The ones who tried to break you. The ones who whispered in your ear, "You're not good enough." Where are they now? Sitting in their safe little bubbles, watching, waiting, hoping you'll fail so they can feel better about their pathetic lives. They're weak, they're cowards, and they'll never understand what it takes to be you. Because here's the thing, they don't hate you because of your flaws. They hate you because of your potential. Because deep down, they know you're better than them, smarter, stronger, hungrier. And that, my dear, scares the hell out of them. They wanted you to beg, but begging is for the weak. And you're above that. You're the storm they can't outrun, the fire they can't extinguish. You're the proof that no matter how much they push, no matter how much they take, they can't break you. So let them talk. Let them point and laugh and whisper behind your back. Let them believe they've won. Because the truth is that you've already beaten them. You've beaten them by surviving, by thriving, by proving that no matter what they do, you're still here. They wanted you to beg. Instead, you became a goddamn legend. You see, the funny thing about survival is that it pisses people off. They'll say they're rooting for you, but the moment you start to rise, the moment you become something they can't control, they turn on you. Why? Because your success is a mirror they can't stand to look into. It reflects everything they're not, everything they'll never be. And that, my friend, is why they wanted you to beg. They needed to see you small, broken, dependent. It would have validated their mediocrity, their lies. See, I was right. They're not special. They're just like me. But when you refused to play their game, when you stood up and said, "No, I won't be your punching bag," you shattered their illusion. And that's unforgivable. People are funny creatures. They'll call you selfish for choosing yourself. They'll call you cold for protecting your heart. They'll call you arrogant for knowing your worth. And do you know what all of that really means? It means you're winning. It means you're doing something right. Because if you weren't, they wouldn't care. They wanted you to beg because they wanted to control you. That's what it's always about. Control. They wanted to decide your worth. They wanted to dictate your future. But you took that power back. You ripped it out of their hands and said, "This is mine now." And oh, how they hated that. Let me give you a little lesson about people. Most of them are sheep. They'll follow the herd, do what they're told, never question a damn thing. But you're not a sheep. You're a wolf. And wolves don't beg. They hunt. They adapt. They survive. Do you know what happens when a wolf stands alone? The sheep get scared. They start whispering, plotting, trying to find a way to bring the wolf down. Because deep down, they know the wolf doesn't need them. The wolf doesn't care about their opinions, their approval, their rules. The wolf lives by its own code. They tried to tame you, didn't they? Tried to turn you into something you're not. Polite, obedient, quiet. But you fought back. You said, "I won't wear your chains. I won't live in your cage." And that's what makes you dangerous. That's what makes you unstoppable. Listen to me carefully. You don't owe them anything. Not your time, not your energy, not your forgiveness, The moment they tried to break you, they forfeited the right to your loyalty. So stop looking back. Stop trying to make them understand. They never will. And that's okay. You're not here to please them. You're here to rise above them. They'll tell you that you're too much, too cold, too ambitious, too hard to love. And do you know what you say to that? Good. Good. Because you weren't born to fit their mold. You weren't born to live a life that makes them comfortable. You were born to shatter limits, to break rules, to carve your own path. They wanted you to beg, but begging is for the weak. And you? You're something they'll never understand. Something they'll never be. You're free. And freedom, my dear, is the one thing they can't take from you. Not unless you let them. Do you remember the pain? The nights you spent alone, questioning everything, wondering if they were right? That pain wasn't a punishment. It was a gift. It was a lesson. It taught you how to stand on your own 2 feet. It taught you how to fight, how to endure, how to survive. And now, that pain is your greatest weapon. They thought the pain would break you, but it only made you stronger. They thought the darkness would consume you, but you became the darkness. They thought they could silence you, but now your voice is louder than ever. And that scares the hell out of them. You've already won, my friend. The fact that you're still here, still fighting, still refusing to bow, that's victory. That's power. So let them talk. Let them plot. Let them try to tear you down. Because at the end of the day, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. And that's the ultimate revenge. They wanted you to beg, but instead, you showed them what true strength looks like. You showed them that no matter how much they take, no matter how much they try to break you, you'll always rise. And now, they'll spend the rest of their lives fearing the moment you decide to strike back. Because you're not just a survivor, you're a goddamn force of nature. You're still here, aren't you? Even after everything, after the betrayals, the heartbreak, the nights where the silence screamed louder than any voice ever could. You're here, breathing, living, fighting. And that, my friend, is the biggest slap in the face to every single one of them who doubted you. To every person who wanted to see you broken. You figured it out, haven't you? The truth. The one thing they've spent their entire lives trying to hide from you. You don't need them. Never did. That's what terrifies them. You see, most people, they can't handle the idea of someone standing on their own 2 feet. It makes them question their own crutches, their own excuses. They live in a world of transactions, of give and take. I'll love you if you do this. I'll support you as long as you follow my rules. But you broke the contract. You ripped it up and said, I don't need your love if it comes with conditions. I don't need your support if it's just a leash around my neck. And now they don't know what to do with you. They thought they could control you with guilt, with fear, with their pretty little words and empty promises. But you saw through it, didn't you? You saw the strings they were trying to attach. And instead of playing the puppet, you became the knife that cuts those strings. That's why they hate you. Do you know what makes people like you dangerous? It's not your strength, though you have plenty of that. It's not your intelligence, though it's sharper than any blade. No, it's your resilience. The fact that no matter how many times they knock you down, you get back up. And every time you do, you come back stronger, smarter, harder to kill. They wanted you to beg, because begging would have proven them right. It would have validated their small, pathetic lives. But instead, you made them look in the mirror and face their own inadequacies. And that's something they'll never forgive you for. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt true peace? Not the kind they sell you in their ads or promise you in their empty platitudes. I'm talking about the kind of peace that comes from knowing you've conquered your demons, that you've risen above the ashes of your own destruction. You don't remember, do you? Because they never let you have it. Every time you came close, they found a way to pull you back down. A whispered insult here, a backhanded compliment there, always keeping you just unsure enough, just insecure enough to make you doubt yourself. But not anymore. Now you know better. Now you see them for what they are. Leeches, feeding off your light because they have none of their own. They thrive on your insecurities, your fears, your doubts. But what happens when you stop feeding them? What happens when you look them in the eye and say, enough? I'll tell you what happens. They crumble, they fall apart. Because without you, they have nothing. You were their source of power, their scapegoat, their punching bag. But now you're untouchable, and that terrifies them. They'll try to come back, you know. They always do. With their apologies, their excuses, their promises to change. Don't fall for it. People don't change, my dear. Not unless they're forced to. And even then, it's rare. So let them knock on your door. Let them beg for your forgiveness. And when they do, smile. Not out of kindness, but because you've already won. They wanted you to beg, but instead, they're the ones on their knees now. Funny how that works, isn't it? The tables always turn. The predator becomes the prey. And you're the one holding the strings now. Remember this. You owe them nothing. Not your time, not your energy, not even your hate. The best revenge isn't destruction, it's indifference. It's living a life so far removed from their grasp that they can't even touch you anymore. But if they ever come too close, if they ever dare to think they can control you again, remind them who you are. Remind them what you've become, and watch as they crumble under the weight of their own fear. You know what the real kicker is? They never expected you to rise. Not truly. Oh, they might have whispered some half-hearted words of encouragement, might have pretended to care. But deep down, they were waiting. Waiting for the cracks to show, for you to stumble, for you to fall flat on your face, so they could say, "I told you so." That's what they do, you know. That's their game. Building you up just enough to watch you crumble. But you didn't crumble, did you? No, you endured. You bore the weight of their expectations, their judgments, their poison. You took it all, and instead of letting it destroy you, you used it. You forged it into armor, into a weapon, and now they don't know what to do with you. Let me tell you something they'll never admit. People don't hate you for your failures. No. They hate you for your potential, for the things you represent. You remind them of everything they'll never be, everything they've given up on. And that eats away at them. It burns them alive. They'll try to mask it, of course. Hide it behind fake smiles and hollow compliments. But pay attention. Watch their eyes when you speak of your dreams. Watch their faces when you take another step forward. You'll see it. The envy, the resentment. Because every step you take away from them, every inch you gain, is a reminder of their own stagnation. You're a threat to their fragile little worlds, a living, breathing contradiction to their excuses. They'll tell you it's impossible, that you're dreaming too big, aiming too high. But what they really mean is, don't prove me wrong. Because if you succeed, if you make it, then what does that say about them? About the lies they've told themselves to justify their mediocrity? They wanted you to beg, because begging would have made them feel powerful. It would have reassured them that they were still in control. But you refused. You stood tall, even when your legs were shaking. You stared them down, even when your heart was breaking. And that takes a kind of strength they'll never understand. They don't hate you because you're weak. They hate you because you're strong, because you've survived things that would have broken them, because you've walked through hell and come out the other side with your head held high. And now you're unstoppable. But don't get too comfortable. Don't think for a second that they're done with you. Oh no, my friend. They'll come for you again. Not with fists or weapons, but with words, with doubts, with manipulation. They'll plant seeds of insecurity, water them with their toxic opinions, and hope they grow into chains around your soul. But here's the funny part. They can't touch you anymore. Not unless you let them. Because once you've tasted freedom, Once you've realized that their opinions don't define you, their power over you vanishes. Poof. Just like that. They'll try to tell you who you are, who you should be. But you already know, don't you? You found your truth. And that truth? It's untouchable, unshakable. It's the foundation you've built from the rubble of their lies. You're not a victim. You're not a failure. You're a survivor, a warrior, a force of nature. And no matter how much they try to tear you down, no matter how many times they try to drag you back into their pit of mediocrity, you'll keep rising, because that's what you do. That's who you are. They wanted you to beg, but instead, you made them watch as you rose higher and higher until they couldn't even see you anymore. You left them behind, drowning in their own bitterness while you soared. And now, they'll spend the rest of their lives wondering how they ever underestimated you. Let them wonder. Let them regret. But don't you dare look back. Don't you dare give them the satisfaction of seeing you hesitate. Because the moment you do, the moment you falter, they'll pounce. They'll drag you back into their world of doubts and fears and limitations. And you're better than that. You're above that. They wanted you to beg, but instead you showed them what true power looks like. And now, they'll never forget the day they tried to break you and failed. You're not just a survivor, you're a legend. You know why they really wanted you to beg? It wasn't just about power. No, it was about fear. Fear that you'd wake up one day and realize the truth, that they were never stronger than you. They were just louder, more persistent, better at wearing masks. They convinced you to doubt yourself because it was the only way they could keep you down. Think about it. Every time you stumbled, every time you failed, they were right there, weren't they? Not to lift you up, but to remind you of your place, to tell you that you'd never be enough, that you'd never make it. They planted those thoughts like weeds in your mind, hoping they'd choke out anything good you might grow. But you pulled those weeds out with your bare hands. They underestimated you. They thought you'd crumble under the weight of their words. But instead, you used them as fuel. Every insult, every doubt, every whispered "you can't," you turned it into fire. And now, you're the one they're running from. They wanted you to beg because they couldn't handle the idea of you standing on your own. People like them, they thrive on control. They need to feel like they're the center of your universe. But the moment you broke free, the moment you stopped caring about their opinions, their approval, their validation, you took that power away from them. And oh, how it must have burned. Let me tell you something about people. They'll always try to make you feel small. Why? Because small people are easier to control. But here's the thing. They can't make you feel anything unless you let them. You got the power, my friend. You always did. They just didn't want you to know it. Do you know what real power is? It's not money. It's not fame. It's not even strength. Real power is knowing who you are. It's looking in the mirror and saying, this is me, flaws and all. Take it or leave it. It's refusing to let anyone else define you. They wanted you to beg because they wanted you to need them. But you don't. Not anymore. You've built yourself from the ground up, brick by painful brick. You've taken every wound, every scar, every ounce of pain, and you've turned it into something unbreakable. And now they can't stand the sight of you because you're a reminder of their own failures. Every time they see you, they're forced to confront the fact that they gave up on themselves, that they chose comfort over growth, safety over strength. And you're proof that there's another way, a better way, a harder way, sure, but one that leads to something real. Look at them, clinging to their little lives, their little lies. They'll spend their entire existence chasing things that don't matter, trying to fill the void inside them with things that will never satisfy. But you've seen the truth. You know that the only thing that matters is the fight, the struggle, the climb. They wanted you to beg because they thought it would break you, but instead, it broke them. Every time you stood back up, every time you took another step forward, it shattered the illusion they'd built around themselves. And now, they're the ones left scrambling, trying to make sense of a world where you refuse to bow. They'll keep coming, you know. They'll keep trying to tear you down, to make you doubt yourself, to drag you back into their world of mediocrity. But you've got something they'll never have. You've got fire. You've got purpose. And as long as you hold on to that, as long as you keep moving forward, they can't touch you. They wanted you to beg, but instead, you rose. You became something they can't control, can't understand, can't destroy. And now, they'll spend the rest of their lives watching you from the shadows, hating you for everything they'll never be. And here's the real joke, the punchline they'll never understand. You don't need to destroy them to win. You don't need revenge or vengeance or even acknowledgement. Your victory is in your existence. In every breath you take, every step you walk forward, every moment you choose yourself over their expectations. That's what breaks them more than any act of retaliation ever could. So walk away, not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to leave their chaos behind. Let them cling to their bitterness, their jealousy, their desperate need for control. Let them watch you from a distance, their whispers growing softer as your presence becomes something they can't ignore, but will never reach. You're not part of their world anymore. You've outgrown it. They wanted you to beg, but you stood tall. They wanted you to break, but you became unbreakable. And now they'll remember you, not as the person they tried to destroy, but as the force they could never conquer. And that, my friend, that's the legacy they'll never escape.